I can
Is
got
that-
it here, so
Rebecca helped me with my hair
4.
last time. Oh, too late.
Hey, Salukis, it's Jeff Gleam, Executive Director of the SIU Alumni Association, coming to you live from WSIU Studios. With me today, I have 2 special guests. You're going to be hearing from Matt Kupek, who's the CEO of the SIU Foundation, as well as Liz Jarnigan, who is SIU's Director of Athletics. But before we get to that, and our topic today is going to be the new athletics fundraising campaign in support of student athletes at SIU. But before we do that, a little Alumni Association commercial. So I just want to kind of give you an update of a couple of things that you have to look forward to. One, as about 6 weeks ago, the association launched a new mobile app. So I know nobody goes anywhere without carrying this little device around. So you want to take SIU on the go, please go to the web browser, download the app, and stay connected with SIU. In the near future, we're going to be announcing our Distinguished Alumni Award winners from 2021. As well, just a brief reminder to everybody that homecoming week is going to be October 10th through the 16th. And if everything goes according to plans, we hope to have an in-person homecoming this year. And then the final thing I want to throw out there is it's NCAA basketball brackets time of the year. Yesterday, the association hosted bracketology, and we featured Dr. Michael Hyland, who is a neuroscience psychologist here at SIU, in addition to one of the voices of the Salukis, Mike Trude. And we had a great day of going through our brackets and talking about what makes the brain pick a certain team, and just had a lot of fun with that. So go to the association's Facebook site, or you can go to the association's YouTube channel, have at it and enjoy. So let's get started with our guest. We're going to have a conversation, but I'm going to serve up a few questions to them and let them have at it. They're pros at this. And I'm sure, ironically enough, it's deja vu. 2 weeks from tomorrow, Matt, all 3 of us spent some time in the studio. And Matt, you spent more than we did. But before we get started, why don't you just reflect a little bit on the Day of Giving?
Jeff, it was an incredible day for the university. It was our 5th annual SIU Day of Giving, where we ask alums and friends to join together, make a gift. We, over a course of 24 hours, Jeff, raised $2.9 million. We had over 3,400 gifts, both record-shattering numbers. And the impact is the support for our students and faculty. You know, both you and Liz were part of it. We're in this fabulous studio here, the largest studio south of Chicago. And you participated. We had 22 academic segments. We shared 117 videos, and just the outpouring of commitment and support. Truly, it was a goosebump kind of day, just spectacular, and we're excited about even thinking about next year. But a big shout out to many of you who supported this great campaign. It was just a spectacular day, Jeff, and we can't wait for next year.
Well, man, when you talked to me about this idea, and I thought, oh my goodness, what a huge undertaking. And just, this is my first year on campus, and to see everybody pull together for that one day, a history-making day, as you talked about, I was never more proud to be a part of something. And just hats off to you and to your team and everybody for what they did. And I can't wait to see what you guys come up with next year. So, Liz, Matt got some time to reflect, and this year has been, wow, an incredible year. And could you just talk to us a little bit about what type of year has it been from the student athlete's perspective and from an administrator perspective with COVID?
Well, if anybody's heard me speak over the last year, they are likely to have heard me say that I've spent more time as an administrator trying to fake being a medical employee or expert instead of being an athletics administrator, just trying to early on learn about COVID and its impacts and figure out how we might be able to safely allow our student athletes to get back to practicing and then get back to competing. That's been incredible, and it's certainly evolved over the last year. Looks a bit different today than it did 9 months ago, but we're still in progress trying to figure that out. For the student athletes themselves, yeah, I appreciate you're asking that question because, as you might imagine, it's been so impactful on them in so many ways. Obviously, from the psychological, mental aspect of having your sport, and for many of them, their identity ripped away from them, and having to figure out how to manage, to how do you stay in shape and in top form when you're really under stay-at-home orders, or perhaps when you're in isolation or quarantine, to how do I pivot to a new style of academic requirements and learning, to concerns for their own family members. It's really impacted all of them, like it's impacted our entire community in serious ways. So we look at what they've been able to accomplish here over the past year and what they're doing right now, and it's just so impressive how resilient they've been in order to get to where they're at right now.
So to both of you, let's hone in a little bit on this topic about uh, the challenges of the student athlete. And Liz, you talked a little bit about, maybe more at a 30,000-foot view of some of the issues this past year. But let's really hone in on some of the particular issues. And more importantly, we're here to talk about this campaign, but how this campaign will address those challenges. And, Liz, you've been around athletics most of your life in one way, shape, or form, from administration to coaching. And Matt, you as well, a former all-star quarterback at North Carolina. Both of you are equally equipped to talk about the challenges of a student athlete. Let's talk there, but then let's pivot into, at some point, how the campaign can address some of these issues.
Jeff, I'm going to jump in, and it's a great question. Thank you. And just as a former athlete, so undergraduate, a quarterback, as you said, the University of North Carolina, what I've really loved about what we have here at Salukiville in SIU is under Liz's leadership, been able to see what great coaches we have. Liz mentioned it before. We've had meetings under Liz's leadership with the chancellor and each individual coach to talk about where we are, what in these tough times, what we need, the financial burdens that have been placed on us through the COVID-19. And just to see that our student athletes are being led by the men and women who are head coaches is extraordinary. I would submit to all the Saluki Nation that our group of head coaches, and Liz, I'm sure you'll agree with that, you will agree with this, are as good as you'll find. So knowing that our student athletes have these mentors, these coaches leading them and getting that great experience here, that education, that athletic experience here in Carbondale. And then being able to, and Liz, we can talk about this, being able to talk to our donors about what that means and the support and allowing 370 student athletes to participate. So Jeff, yeah, it's a timely campaign we've launched under Liz's leadership. This is the foundation here at SIU. We'll work with Liz and her very talented team. Kate Hanson's over there as a director of development. Again, Liz's coaches, the entire staff. And we appreciate given the opportunity today to talk about the campaign and what it's going to mean. So we're excited about it. $25 million, 4 years. We have an incredibly rich history of athletic success here. And we believe this is going to provide that us to be sustainable but successful going forward is truly one of the premier athletic programs at our level in the country.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. I appreciate, Matt, you're pointing to our coaches. I've said this before as well. You know, when you talk about resourcing a Division I athletic program like ours, there are lots of layers to that. And one component of resourcing that we know we have solidly in place is our people. We have wonderful student athletes, and we know that we're providing them great leadership from top to bottom. Every sport has outstanding head coaches and assistant coaches in place. And so we're very pleased with that, and we don't have issues there. However, when we talk about the dollars and cents when it comes to resourcing a powerful athletic program like ours, we're currently struggling a little bit. And so while it's been a challenge for a while, and it's a challenge across the country for every athletic department right now, COVID has really placed us in some uncomfortable situations where we don't want to compromise how we resource our programs so that we can provide the most excellent program available for our student athletes, and we can continue to excel like we're seeing our teams do right now on into the future. And so that's where we need some help. That's where Matt and his staff have really stepped up to rally behind us. We appreciate it very much. It's a great example of the teamwork we value here at Southern Illinois, and together we know we can do it.
So Liz,
And Jeff, I'm going to jump in if you don't mind.
Sure.
We were here on the studio, we said 2 weeks ago. And as Liz came live, had a great segment, Liz and Coach Mullins and Kate Hansen. But Liz predicted, this was 3 days prior to our game against the #1 team in the country in football, North Dakota State. Liz predicted a victory, Jeff. So I got to tell you, there's a really good sense, there's a really good feel of what's going on under Liz's leadership in this program. You and I were at that game together, but she predicted it. Good call, Liz.
Well, since we're making it about me, well, I'd like to add that I also predicted that we would have a lengthy winning streak for our softball program and baseball programs, and 2 All-American track and field athletes. And that all has come to fruition as well. So I predict great things in the future for all of us. And if you'd like me to predict you're winning the lottery anytime soon, just give me a call.
So Liz, we're going to come back and talk about some of those successes. I want you to have as much time as you want to brag, because I know how proud I am of the success we're having. So we'll come back to that. But just a final note on the campaign and what we were talking about. You know, Matt talked about the 117 videos that we showed, or you guys showed a couple of weeks ago, and there were many from your area. And it's, you know, it certainly made me take note that the coaches and the student athletes are behind this campaign. They're behind wanting to succeed. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I'd love to. So, you know, our coaches and our athletes and our alums from our programs, they love this institution, and that is clear. You talk to Nick Hill, who is doing amazing things with football, and an alum, a star when he was here, and grew up in this community. And Brian Mullins, as well. People are very well aware of who he is. Danielle Kaufman, who is an alum and very a proud alum, leading now our men's and women's golf programs to success. They love this institution. And so when we're going through some tough times like we are right now, their response has been so impressive. They're stepping up. We're going to do what we need to do to preserve the excellence of the place that we love. And in athletics, we take it very seriously that we have a responsibility to shine a positive, bright light on this entire university. And so when the Salukis do well, we bring a community together, which is incredibly important to us. And we also help the overall brand of the Southern Illinois University. And so that's our charge.
And Jeff, I like to jump in too. And Liz talks about, when we're down, and sometimes it's how you respond to adversity. And I think one of the greatest illustrations, and I've seen in a long, long time, was after our football team opened up in a tough loss at North Dakota. We lost a starting quarterback. We had 5 turnovers. We had a disappointing loss. And I hope all of our Salukis have seen the film of Coach Hill in the locker room giving, and I've got goosebumps thinking about it, talking to the young men about where they go from there and a life lesson. We're going to pick ourselves up. We're going to go back to work. And it truly, again, I've been around athletics. I've been in locker rooms. It was the most inspiring and educational talk I've ever heard in my life. And I just think that just shows you something about the resiliency here, Liz, Jeff, the commitment, that sauce within a Saluki nation. But if you hadn't seen it, I'm sure it's on Liz's website. I think you'd really be proud of Coach Hill. But as Liz said, it represents the character and integrity we have throughout our athletic department.
Yeah, you can see that on Saluki TV. There's a link to it on SIU Salukis.com, and it's impressive, and it's really a sign of the times too. The video, because there are several of them, but there is a video that shows the team talk after that loss on the Sunday after to the team via Zoom, because that's the only way you can have the entire team together. And the kind of impact that Coach Hill was making on 100 guys, 107 guys via Zoom was impressive. And then the video transitions into the pregame speech to the team via Zoom prior to the North Dakota State game, and it really does give you goosebumps. What he's been able to do to pivot to this new normal of COVID is really cool. The video should be put in a time capsule, I think, for someday.
So Matt, in reference to the video you're talking about, I saw that too, and I was ready to run through a wall.
Yeah.
It made me feel good, but it always amazes me as to what athletics can do. I mean, just for the psyche. And you hear a lot of these inspirational talks by coaches, which are wonderful, but then you factor those into just life lessons, and how inspiring that these words can be to young people. And having, I have a freshman here at SIU, and want him to watch these things because they are inspiring. So thanks to Liz and all the coaches and the work that you're doing behind the scenes with, shaping these young people, and then certainly the support that they're showing for the campaign. And speaking of the campaign, Matt, you and I have had the opportunity to be together a lot, especially lately, and being surrounded by alums. And can you give us a little insight into what some of the alums are talking about in regards to the campaign?
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity, again, to support our student athletes, our coaches. There's scholarships are always an important part of anything we do here. In the case of athletics, we mentioned the 370 student athletes that get that opportunity to come to this great campus, get an education, performs to some of the best coaches. And we also have great facilities here. We have a lot to be grateful for. And Liz, thank for the work of folks before you and me and Jeff. Those facilities are here. It's great for the region, and our, what it can do. Athletics is a lift. It does lift us all, and so I think donors have a chance to get to support the program, meet the student athletes, meet these coaches, and Jeff, as you know better than anybody, our Saluki Nation has over 260,000 alumni across the country. Just the advent of ESPN Plus, we're able to watch football games and watch basketball games and other sports that allow us to have watch parties and rally and do things like that to ignite our Saluki Nation. So again, as you said, athletics gives us that opportunity to really generate that pride. Certainly we recognize we're It's the great academic institution, the quality of our teaching, research, public service. But athletics is a great, Liz talks about the window, the front porch of the institution. And we're excited because the one thing we do know that Salukis do join together, understand under the leadership of Liz what we're trying to accomplish. And we believe we're going to have great success with this campaign.
Well, I am 100% confident we're going to have success with this campaign, especially knowing the two of you the way I do. Success is, I mean, there's no other option. So I know it's going to be there. But Liz, I told you a little bit ago that we'd come back and do a little bit of bragging. But let's talk a little bit about, we'll talk about the on-field success here in a minute, but let's talk about the in-classroom or in Zoom success that the program is having. So academic success, we're all big into rankings, but just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So even throughout all of the changed environment academically that our athletes have been facing, you know, they collectively earned a 3.6 GPA last spring to finish out the spring, even though they were facing great adversity. Collectively for the fall semester earned almost a 3.6 GPA. 87% of our student athletes in the fall earned over a 3.0. I mean, those are just some amazing numbers. So we're very proud of that. And it speaks to the character and quality, attention to character and quality that our coaches put into the recruiting process. We also can brag that none of our teams were below a 3.0, not even football or men's basketball in this most recent semester. And so that's a really unique thing and something to be very proud of. We had Taiwana Eason from our track and field program earn academic All-American honors last spring, bringing our school's total overall to 101. And that we lead the Missouri Valley Conference by far in total number of academic All-Americans. So I could go on and on.
And I'd like to jump in on that to Liz's point. Liz, you'll remember this in our meetings we talked about with you and the chancellor and the head coach. One of the coolest things, we're talking about what do we need to be competitive, what kind of, how many scholarships, facilities, program support. But true to every coach, the thing that jumped out, Liz, and you join with me, is they're competitive, but they were more interested about their grade point average of their team and where they stood relative to the other coaches. It was the coolest thing. That was the most competitive thing that came out in those meetings.
I think they all wanted to be known as the team with the highest GPA. And that's a really nice thing for an athletic director to have when you're even competitive about your classroom achievements.
And you know, you don't see that on TV. You don't see that as the competition's going on or our athletes are competing, but to know that's a really good, we all should feel really proud of that our coaches were really, you know, we talk about being a great athlete, great citizen, but a great student. The thing that they really were charged in those meetings was that good grade point average and who had the best cumulative average. It was pretty cool.
Well, I know I'm guilty of this. I'm your typical fan, and I get caught up in wins and losses. And I lose track sometimes that it's a hyphenated word. It's student athlete. Yeah. And sometimes I forget that. So Liz, like Matt said, hats off to you, the coaches for the work that they're doing and making, you know, the academics a primary focus. I think that just speaks volumes for the folks that we have on staff here. So hats off to all of them. And Matt,
Jeff, the other thing learned in these meetings about Liz is that I think she may have competed in more sports growing up than any individual that I have known. I tell you, whatever it was, Liz had competed in it. So pretty cool there, Liz.
Well, I grew up in an era that not many of the girls did compete. So if you were going to have a team, I had to sign up. But no, sports are fun. So And I am, my family will tell you, I can turn a competition into anything, just like academic
Yeah.
GPAs, but
And it's
Uh,
that attitude right there that proves how successful we're going to be in this campaign. So, hey, let's talk about success. I mean, so we've talked about the academic aspect of this, but you you riffed a little bit there for 30, 40 seconds about some of our recent success, but let's go back and look. I mean, just run us through, and we'll get up to today, but I mean, the basketball team started off really well, and just kind of take us through the success that we're having on the court and on the field as well.
Yeah, well, I think you might be alluding to a really fun basketball win that the men had at Hinkle Fieldhouse to open up the basketball season. Just a thrill for our team to be able to play in that storied facility, and then let alone leave there with an outstanding win. Got a lot of good love on national TV for that. We had one of the youngest basketball teams in the country, and we got hit with COVID issues and quarantining here and or there, like many programs across the country, and we're still seeing it happen. But the resiliency that they showed and staying tough and persevering in those back-to-back games through the season really gives you a lot of hope for where Coach Mullins is taking that particular program. Um, we've been talking about football. We were one of the very few FCS level football teams to be able to get a game in the fall. And we were also one of the very few teams then that actually were able to get a win under their belts in the fall before we pivoted to this spring football season. Matt mentioned we had a disappointing loss to open up the season, but we've rallied to go 3-1 right now in conference, in the top conference in the country. We've knocked off number 1. We've knocked off number 5. We play number 6 this weekend. It's some exciting, excellent football going on. I should point out, when talking about football, that Jeremy Chin, who was a member of our football team just last season, was runner-up to the Rookie of the Year in the NFL this year. And so we're very proud of that. And oh, by the way, he was an outstanding student, all the while being a stand-up football player. I alluded to baseball and softball having winning streaks. Both of them, unfortunately, suffered a trip up, a loss over the weekend. But the women were tied for the second longest winning streak in the nation, dating back to last season. The baseball team had that longest winning streak in the nation. And so now we're like 17-2 with softball and 14-1 this season with baseball. So still really excellent. And we're very proud. Baseball is currently ranked 27th in the country. Track and field, setting records, sending athletes to the conference, the Ncaa championships and scoring. They're swimming and diving. They're currently breaking records. Women's golf is winning. Men's golf, I just watched them on ESPN Plus have an outstanding tournament down in Louisiana this weekend. So, this is my favorite question. I guess it's my second favorite question. Ask me about my kids. That's my first favorite. But second favorite, ask me about the student athletes here at SIU.
Go, Liz, go.
I agree,
Roll.
Matt. Yeah.
I've got more if you want me to.
So, Liz, I know a lot of people that are watching, and I've heard you talk a little bit about this. And, I know there's still some, a lot of unanswered questions going forward for the fall. But is there anything that you can tell the folks listening and watching, maybe what we're hoping for in the fall?
Yeah, well, we've been doing a lot of hope for the last year. We are planning and hoping for a normal fall. If all the signs continue to move in a positive direction for us, we certainly are very hopeful that we'll be back to normal operations in the fall. We'll be able to fill up Salukis Stadium and that arena. We will not have to ask fans to wear masks. That's the hope. And we'll see what the medical personnel out there tell us needs to happen. The CDC will follow all those guidelines. But we are so eager to get our fans and alums back here cheering us on in person.
Well, I know you are probably more than anybody, and Matt and I had the good fortune of talking to alums all the time, as do you, and certainly that's something that they're all looking forward to. And just one note about the football wins: Matt and I have been together for every win. I just want to go on record. So I don't know if we got a good thing going here, Matt, or what, but I don't want to break that up because
I'm going to make sure you do stay together.
okay, there you go. There you go.
I'll tell you what, Jeff, you're good at this. I'll tell you what.
Hey,
Watch out, Jimmy Fallon.
yeah, I
Here comes
walked
Jeff
into,
Gleam.
I had the big shoes to fill, but this is a lot of fun. But we're coming up on 30 minutes, and I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. But Matt, we're going to have a closing thought here in a second. But back to the campaign, if you could just, if I wanted to learn more about it, or I wanted to give, what do I need to do?
Sure, you can go to Salukis Athletics. I'm looking to Liz for a little help on the address right here.
SIUSalukis.com.
SIUSalukis.com. We've got the cool thing about this campaign, Jeff, we really like. We've broken it down into almost mini campaigns for each sport. So if you love softball, or you love swimming, or you love women's track, you can support it any way you want. And we think we know this is the new trend in athletic fundraising. Certainly we're raising money across the entire athletic program. But again, if you love to watch golf, if you love soccer, go to this site, SIU Athletics.
Salukis.
Salukis.
And there's a give now button. And if you can't find it, email me.
And it's Jeff. So it's a great way you can support our student athletes, again, our coaches, support the programs, and your dollars. Every dollar does make a difference. Liz is an incredible steward of limited, tight resources, and the coaches are as well. We saw that in the meetings.
Yes.
These coaches watch their budgets. They know what they're spending. But your support will really help us. Again, it provides for the future of Salukis athletics. It's a rich, storied history here. I forget, Liz, how many All-Americans. We talked about the academic All-Americans, 8 national championships. And your support together will help Liz and her coaches really keep this program going for a great ride now and in the future.
So Liz, I'm going to come to you, and promised you I'd give you a few minutes. Any final thoughts? Matt, I'm going to come back to you for closing thoughts, but any final thoughts that you wanted to share that we haven't discussed today?
Well, no, just I'd like to reiterate my thanks to Matt and his staff for helping us put together this plan to ensure the future of Salukis athletics. We can't do this alone, and the teamwork that he's shown us and his passion and support of the Salukis is very much appreciated by all of us in athletics and our student athletes. This is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to help our university. When you help student athletes, you help our athletic programs, we are that front porch of the university. We are reported on in the newspaper often and in the news, and we do have an easy ability to bring positive attention to this university. And so helping us to ensure athletic success has that ripple effect to be able to ensure the success and the future of this wonderful university.
Matt?
Jeff, I want to echo what Liz said and just as I listen to Liz and listen to you, 2 great examples of really good leaders here on our campus. We're here to talk about athletics, and Jeff, you do a great job bringing the whole university in. Chancellor Lane has come on board and really providing incredible leadership for us. I've been around higher education a long time. Liz and I sit on a chancellor's cabinet. We met for 2.5 hours today. We see the leadership at this place overall. You see it through our provost and our academic deans. There's a real energy here. There is a real momentum. We have a great history of 152 years here as being an important public global research university, important to this region, the state, the nation, and the world. And you just see it. You see it through our students. Our enrollment is looking very promising for this fall. And again, it's a lot of it, and one of our great strengths are right there with you, our alumni. You know, you make us proud, you do great things, you represent us well, you wear the Saluki colors, you support us. And as a team, we're really excited about where we're going. So, you know, we like to say, put that seatbelt on. We're going. This is a great ride. Let's go together. You want to go fast, you go alone, but you want to go far, we must go together. And that's what you got here. That's what everybody's working together. It's a cool time. It's a cool time to be a Saluki.
So Matt, I hope we got that on video because now I'm ready to run through the door for you. So that was awesome. I can see, I see the former athlete. You missed your calling. Should have been a coach, but both of you outstanding at what you do. And Matt, you are 100% right. I can feel the momentum. I can feel the wave, and I'm happy to be riding that wave, and happy to be a Saluki and be here and see the impact that we're going to have on moving this institution forward. So with that, I want to say thank you to both of you for joining me today. I want to thank our audience for watching. We'll be able to replay this as often as we like, but I also want to send out a special thanks to WSIU. You guys are awesome, just awesome, from what you guys did with Day of Giving to what you're doing today, and what I know we can look forward to in the future. I want to thank Caleb Hales, who in the control booth from the association, who's helping us get all this together. And I know you're going to be hearing more about the success of this campaign going forward. And I'm going to get this right, Matt. So Liz, if you're interested in learning more and want to give, it's SIUSalukis.com. SIUSalukis.com. So
You got it, Jeff.
thank you. So anxious to be sharing more things down the road about all the great things that are taking place at SIU. But until we come together again, thanks again, everybody. Stay safe, take care, and go Dogs.